Hey y'all, welcome back to the our YouTube channel. Today we are talking about the debt ceiling.
Yes.
It is a really fun topic, something that has been in the news a lot lately. If you've been listening to the podcast, it's something we've been talking a lot about. It's just on everybody's mind these days. You're probably getting bombarded with headlines and news updates about it, and I'm sure a lot of people have questions on what is it, how does it work, what does it mean for me. So we're going to talk about all that today.
Here is disturbing fact number one. The debt ceiling is currently at $31 trillion, which means the United States owes $31 trillion. Now, how do you get in debt? You spend more money than you take in. Pretty basic. So imagine the United States has a credit card with $32 trillion, $31 trillion on it. That is equal to about $94,000 for every person in the United States. Here's the fascinating part. The latest scuffle was that they were not allowed to exceed $31 trillion. And so, if they couldn't borrow more money, the federal government would have to shut down because they're out of money. That means no one in the federal government gets paid
Oh,
except,
Congress exempted themselves from that rule. If the federal government runs out of money, no federal employees get paid except
yes,
members of Congress.
which makes me think of the term crook.
Crook.
Crook,
Yes.
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 Here's what they agreed to. Uh, the two political parties decided that the best way to avoid this problem was to not have a federal debt ceiling anymore until after the 2024 presidential election. So until January of 2025, there is no debt ceiling.
Meaning they can borrow as
Okay.
much money as they want to
And the
with no limit.
buffoons, and I use that word
Like
no
partially.
heavily, can borrow as much money as they want. There's nothing to stop them for the next 18 months. It's interesting to me that they chose not to do anything until after the presidential election. It's almost like politics was involved in a fiscal decision making process.
Surely not. The really interesting thing about
Welcome to Shirley.
the really interesting thing about this deal, and I use interestingly very hesitantly, a lot of the deals that were made within this deal really don't amount to anything. They don't mean anything.
All of them lapse in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where, okay, we're going to cover this for 2 years, and then at the end of 2 years, it's up and done. But like, one of the things is that um, non-defense spending has been limited to a certain amount for 2 years.
Well, actually, non defense spending, you cannot raise you can't spend any more money on non defense things, an increase. That's locked until January 2025.
Yeah, not even 2 years, 18 months. This is one of the ones that really he and I got a good laugh about. This was there was during COVID there were billions of dollars being thrown for COVID relief, to keep businesses afloat and things like that. I mean, they were just printing money left and right, trying to keep everything going. There's some of that money that's left over.
$290 billion has not been spent.
Yeah, $290 billion is still left in the COVID relief bank account, so to speak. All right. One of the things that came out of this spending bill was that Congress is required to give that money back to the federal government. So they didn't spend the money. So they had to write a bill into law that says they have to give the money back. Why that would not just be common sense, I don't know.
Does it bother any of you that the people running our country can't balance a checkbook? Let me give you the best analogy I've seen. If we take the United States federal government and compare it to an American family, all right, the median income in the United States per household is $70,000. If this family ran their family budget like the federal government, then on an income of $70,000 this year, they would have spent $94,000. 24,000 had to be put on a credit card. And the credit card they added that 24,000 to already had a balance of $334,000. Is there anyone out there, any human being in the world that could get away with that, except for the people that run the United States federal government? And the most annoying thing is we vote them in. Every year we send the same ones back. And they are just absolutely financially destroying this country. We had a radio show a couple of weeks ago on things that Congress has spent money on. Did you know there was $5 million appropriated to study drag queen shows in Thailand? I'm not really sure what that has to do with the United States federal government, but they appropriate $5 million to study drag queen shows in Thailand. Yeah, you can't make this stuff up. But anyway, this continues to impact the economy, and it continues to impact you and I and George and Kinsey. They are old coots like me, not a big deal, but this is robbing Kinsey and George and our grandchildren of a good future, because this can't continue. We're rapidly we're approaching the point in the federal debt where the United States couldn't make their debt payments anymore. And then it won't be an option of going, oh, gee, we're going to raise the debt ceiling. There won't be any debt ceiling to raise.
Yeah, once the United States hits, I think it's $51 trillion in debt, they will only have it, the federal government will only bring in enough money to make the interest payment on that debt. What does that mean? That means social services gone or cut. And so all of this to say, something's got to give and something's got to change. So wanted to make y'all aware of this, what it means, kind of break it down into English, and give you something to think about the next time you go to the polls. Be aware of who's running, be aware of who you're electing, and don't just vote because they've got a letter beside their name or whatever. Be aware of this stuff.
Yeah, and folks, this is not an overthrow the government podcast.
No.
Not meant to be anyway, because we got the greatest country in the world, but we have become lazy, and we've let a series of individuals that are as self-serving as anybody I've ever met move into office and stay there. Yep. And it's time to get term limits in place, and it's time to get federal spending in place. If you really want to look at something funny, not funny how but funny disgusting, Google Pork Page. Pork Page is a booklet put out every year about fiscal responsibility that goes over the pork barrel spending of Congress, and you would be absolutely astonished. And it's both parties. Mm-hmm. It's not one part or the other. On that happy note,
yes. If you have questions about this, you want to talk more about it, or want to sit down with us, give us a call, 252-746-6785. Love to have a chat with you. But like I said, just wanted to take a few minutes and break this stuff down. And it's not fun to talk about. It's not fun to hear about. But it's the reality of the situation that we're in. And so it's our duty to talk about it and to try and educate you and make this stuff understandable for the normal human ear. So we're going to head out. We appreciate y'all spending a few minutes with us, and hope you have a great day.
And subscribe to our podcast. It makes us look better when we have more than 10 people.
Yes, it does. Y'all have a good one.
Have a good one. Thank you.